And so, right now we are in the midst of 3 hypermanic head-bending game weeks where the turnaround time is minimal and the ability to catch our breath is non-existent. We've no time to bask in our glories or reflect on our mistakes before another fixture is upon us, inflicting further impact on our psyches and increasing the intensity of the game to fever pitch. The FPL season is well and truly kicking into overdrive, and it's taking every fibre of our being to cling on to our successes and to keep the season's momentum rolling in our favour. And look, while I'd love to be sat here right now telling you about how in game week 14 my lord smashed it again, securing another massive green arrow to send me soaring up those ranks, I'm gonna be honest with you, like I always am. As I'm recording this video right now, there's not actually been any meaningful action taking place, because between my rota at work, the time I put into editing these magnificent videos and the quick turnaround between game weeks, I simply don't have time to wait until the close of play. Not if I want to keep on making the content for those people I appreciate so very much. The ones who keep coming back to the channel week after week and keeping my motivation strong. So, given the nature of the early recording of this video, this time I'm gonna do something a little bit different.
What's he up to, man? What's he doing?
You see, we can all agree that this season the official FPL site has absolutely nailed the pricing structure, something that hasn't always been the case in the past, so credit where it's due. It feels like years since so many viable strategies have been available to us sexy beasts with the courage to throw our hat in the ring. And this year nearly 11 million people have stepped up to the plate and said, I'm gonna try and become the world #1. And between that level of competition and the increased difficulty of the game, both the difficulty and the fun of the game are higher than ever. Except that isn't always the case for everyone. While the focus is so often on those high up in the upper echelons of the rankings, as it rightfully should be, seeing as we're all trying to win this game, it's easy to forget that there are far more people having a bad season than there are having a good one.
I have trouble sleeping at night. I have bad dreams like I'm falling.
And that's the flip side of the growing popularity of the game. With greater levels of competition comes a greater chance for your season to turn into a true FPL nightmare. Indeed, some of the greatest to ever play the game are struggling deep in the millions of the overall rankings. The FPL Black Box lads are struggling to get into that top million. The FPL Wire lads are struggling outside the top 2 million. Abdul Rahman is 110th in the FPL Hall of Fame, with 4 top 1k finishes and 6 top 5k finishes to his name, and he's ranked 2.6 million. Marco Rujala has rankings of 2,436, another of 710th and a third of 123rd in the last 5 years, as well as 3 other top 10k finishes and another 3 top 25k, an incredible 9-year run. Yet this season, he's ranked 2.64 million at time of recording. And the story is the same in the world's greatest mini-league, with former champs like the Ox and Jock and G struggling to break into the top 20, and smooth operators like Deadly Daz, Grinchy Vot, Terminator Triss and Big Steve the Butcher failing to make any impression at all.
There goes that dream.
Yes, this season is proven to be the toughest we've known in FPL for a long time, and when even the best of the best are struggling to find any level of consistent success, you can only imagine how hard some other people are finding it. And I know there are those out there who take this game to heart, and for whom a bad week in our fantasy world can overshadow their next week in the real world. You don't write 3 books and launch a YouTube channel called the FPL Nightmare because everything's going well. Let me tell you that for nothing. You see, I've had 1 top 10k finish in my entire life, and to achieve that took a level of obsession with the game that I wouldn't recommend to anyone. Not really. And yes, it made a fantastic ending to my book trilogy, going from a 4.8 million ranking to a top 10k finish. And yes, it's a story to inspire every FPL manager out there, but I can tell you for nothing it was bloody hard work, and a lot of the time it wasn't that much fun at all.
Play ball, and I can't do it. Is that where the fun starts?
And then last season I started off well. I was ranked something like 500k after 3 game weeks. And then I decided to indulge in the Ben Dinnery name game challenge. I completely overhauled my squad on a game week 4 wildcard. And then the very limited pool of players I was able to select from dropped me 6 million places within 2 game weeks. I can't begin to tell you how stupid I felt. It made me feel so crap I gave the challenge up 8 game weeks later, and somehow I managed to get back to 1.34 million in the overall rankings by the end of the season. Now there are plenty out there who would say 1.34 million is a terrible rank, but it's all about context. And last season I gave 6.5 million people a head start and myself only 26 game weeks to catch them, and I caught 5.2 million of them. And even someone as self-deprecating as myself can admit that was a bloody good effort. So I'm talking from experience when I say that those of you out there struggling, whether you're a hardened veteran or you're completely new to the game, will be feeling the temptation to tell yourself that it doesn't matter, that FPL's a stupid, pointless game anyway, and maybe even to tell yourself that it's time to give it up. Well, I'm here to tell you that you'd be absolutely wrong to do so.
Young man, think about the choice you're making if you walk out that door.
Because your bad start to the season that's left you dwelling in the doldrums, it could well be the start to the greatest season in your entire FPL life. You don't need to walk away. All you need to do is reframe the competition in your mind. Because you know what I'm talking about when I tell you this is where the fun begins. When you're an engaged manager in this game, there's always one advantage that you have. You are still in a position to influence proceedings and to change the course of the future. Now you may not know this because it's highly confidential, top secret information, but my FPL Nightmare videos are highly targeted at only the coolest, only the cleverest, only the most beautiful people to play the game. So if you are seeing this video, please know that you are already winning at the game of life. I don't have thousands of views because my videos are laser focused to find only the most special individuals out there, to give a psychological boost to those who may need it and to give the upper hand to those who deserve it the most. And yes, believe it or not, I'm talking about you. If you're seeing this, you're already in the top 500 most wonderful people to play FPL. So let's readjust how we see the game together and give each other the boost that we might need right now. Let me ask you, what do we all love most in FPL? Yes, that's right, it's those vibrant, colourful, spectacular green arrows. Wherever we begin a game week in the world, if we get bestowed the beauty of the rank bounce next to our name, then we always feel better about ourselves. And this is the secret to FPL that a lot of people don't realise, especially if they are used to being in the upper echelons of the game. But a green arrow makes you feel great whether you're ranked 10,000 in the world or 10 million. And let me tell you, speaking from my experience from last season, the lower you are right now, the more green arrows you're going to collect and the more you're going to experience that green glory. And the first step to recovery is being honest with ourselves. So let's do that together right now. We both know you're better than your current ranking suggests. And whether you follow their gentlemanly ways or you're one of those algorithm acolytes, we both know you're going to start climbing them rankings soon because you're too good not to. So let's make game week 15 the game week where the new challenge is set. Forget the number in that overall column for now. Your new challenge is to collect those green arrows. How many green arrows can you collect between game week 15 and the end of the season? How many game weeks can you end better off than when you started? And let's look even further ahead and start thinking about using this season to tweak your usual strategy. Why not turn this season into the transitional one where you redefine and rebuild your FPL toolbox? Why don't we use the rest of this season as the launch pad to chase down that world #1 next season? Because I'm telling you now, there's absolutely no reason you can't.
It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward.
That's how winning is done.
And let's look at the season so far. We all thought Erling Haaland was the absolute undeniable must-have player of the campaign. But now we've discovered that dispersed power takes down more opponents than a Norse force. Things aren't always what they initially seem, especially in FPL. Sometimes we have to dare to be different, but sometimes those FPL gods dare us to be different. And some people are already doing that. The biggest name in the field, the one with arguably the most to lose, let's talk Andy, has already made the big balls call to triple up on the Arsenal defence. And whether it works out for him in the long run remains to be seen. By the time this video comes out, he might already have sacrificed the experiment. But he deserves credit for having the cojones to go for it, especially with so many social media snipers ready to shoot him down. What moves can you see for game week 15 and beyond that you would normally talk yourself out of? Because I can tell you in game week 13 I woke up before the deadline with a feeling Mitoma might outscore Bruno Fernandes, and I thought I need to get Mitoma in, but then I went and talked myself out of it just to see Mitoma score 10 points. And that's a good feeling. I denied myself through not changing my strategy, and maybe I should have done. And maybe that's the kind of thing you should be looking at doing now.
You got talent. You got a chance, and I want to hear about your environment, what your mama didn't give you, and the white man won't give you no shot. You got a chance.
Why not give those sort of moves a shot and use your transitional season to experiment ahead of your top 10k push next season? After all, I went from a 4.8 million ranking to the top 10k in just 18 months, and if someone as bad at the game as the uncontent creator can do it, then I know you can too. And if you want to know how I did it, then you're in luck, because I wrote the books on the subject and they detail exactly how my strategy and mindset changed game week by game week. So when I look you dead in the eyes and I tell you that your crappy ranking now can lead to your greatest ever season, you can read those books and know for a fact that I'm being honest with you, like I always am. When it's at its best, FPL is a magical game. There's a reason we've all become so utterly addicted to it. But everything with the capacity to give us joy also has the ability to leave us crushed. And I know there's an awful lot of you out there devastated with how your season has begun. This video has been for those people, and if you are one of them, then this video is directly for you. And if there's one thought I want to leave you with, it's that remember this season is only just begun. After all, if the world number one can outscore you by that many points in 14 game weeks, just think how that can flip and how many points you can outscore them by in the 24 game weeks to come. And because I'm someone that loves a narrative, today I'm going to leave you with a little story. In the 2020-21 season, the League of Gentlemen's own Grinchy Vot was ranked outside the top 4 million at Christmas. And do you know what he did after Christmas? He went and embarked on a run that saw him score 740 points in just 9 game weeks. And by the end of the 2021 season, Grinchy Vot had turned that 4 million ranking into a top 150,000 finish. And let me tell you something else, that was only the second season the glorious Grinch had ever played the game. So if he can prevail in those circumstances, there's absolutely nothing stopping you emulating the glorious Grinch, or maybe even surpassing him altogether. Because let's be honest with each other, we're all dreamers, every last one of us. We all dream of that world number one spot, but you can't have a dream without the occasional FPL nightmare.
Do you really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
But what you need to remember is that every nightmare ends with the dawn of a new day. And also that the green arrow that flies the farthest Furthest is the one pulled furthest back in the ball. So I want you to go away from this video and I want you to take one last look at that overall ranking, because this is the last time it's gonna matter for a long time. This is the game week where we stop judging success by the cold numbers and instead we start counting the glory of the green arrow. And game week 15 is the game week where our mission to become the 2026 world champion well and truly begins. And so ahead of the third game week in 8 days, let me just say, may all your transfers be successes, may all your arrows be green, and may those FPL gods be in your favour in a way they maybe haven't been so far this season. Hit the bullseye with your green arrow by hitting that subscribe button, and we will see you next time.
It's an FPL Nightmare, got me pulling out more, yeah. I'm the greatest football manager to ever grace the old armchair. But the FPL gods hate me, and no one seems to care that my points are only average, and my ranking is not fair.